2025 has given us some incredible movies, huge blockbusters, surprise hits, and a few that simply blew us away. Today, we're counting down my top 5. Few honourable mentions I feel like I should bring in is Thunderbolts. I thought that was MCU coming back. Finally, we got more films in this kind of quality. The MCU's been very up and down in recent years, but I thought Thunderbolts was solid. Again, not particularly Marvel's best or greatest, but definitely a step in the right direction. Good combination of serious tones, light-hearted jokes. Good film that takes place in the MCU without doing too much or too little. Another honorable mention is K-pop Demon Hunters. I didn't think I'd ever be talking about this film, but I actually did sit down and watch it, and it was really entertaining. Really good animation, good storyline, and
Hey, this is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here.
the music is catchy, I can't lie. Another honourable mention is Superman. That I thought was a good introduction into James Gunn's DC universe. It's not perfect, it's okay. It wasn't good enough, I think, to make it onto this list, but I don't think it was bad. It definitely had room for improvement here and there, but it is literally the first film in this new series of DC films that we have coming along. I did enjoy the comic booky aspects of this movie, the sort of the bright colours, the cinematography. I also thought Lex Luthor in this movie was fantastic. For me, he easily carried the movie. I do like the new Superman, but again, I sort of prefer the darker Henry Cavill sort of style, but I felt like this was faithful to the comics. It worked well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening next with the Lex Luthor Superman team-up movie we've got coming in 2027. Okay, so this first one's a bit of a guilty pleasure. This list isn't going to be in any particular order. I like all these films for different reasons in different ways. You know, art is subjective.
Because that would be crazy.
Going up first on the list, Final Destination Bloodlines. This one's a bit of a guilty pleasure. So growing up with these films, you know I've never stepped foot near a sunbed. You know I change lanes if I'm behind a lorry or a truck carrying logs. Yeah, I'm not taking that chance. Final Destination 6 sticks to its roots. It follows the rules, but it does add a few new spins on it. The deaths are over the top and quite comical, as they should be. They change the formula just a little bit, but they stick to the roots. The key difference being the protagonist isn't the one who has the premonition. This is actually the protagonist's grandmother, and the great reveal is that the whole cast shouldn't exist. It gives an interesting concept of each of the family members slowly getting picked off in terrible, gruesome, horrible ways, and sticks to its original formula and lore. I really do hope they continue this series, as it is an easy watch, nice little popcorn flick, and a really fun concept. Well, maybe fun's the wrong word. Next up on the list is Weapons. This film I actually went into completely blind. I didn't watch any trailers or look up this film at all. Obviously I knew of the film and it was getting good reviews, so I went and saw it knowing absolutely nothing, and I think that kind of worked out in my favour. You could say it didn't, because half the movie I had no clue what really was going on, but that was the beauty of it, because once you get to the end of the film, everything is crystal clear. It made the ending feel much more rewarding once we got there. This film was sort of marketed as a horror film, but it's more of a thriller. It definitely has horror elements. So the general plot of this film is that all these kids go missing, and we see the story take place through numerous people's point of views on why they've gone missing and what on earth is going on. One of the opening scenes is all these kids just leaving their parents' house at some time in early hours in the morning, all running off to one direction, and we get to see each different cast member and their story and their view of events on how and why this is happening. It's not made clear until towards the end of the movie. The whole plot with Aunt Gladys's character really had me spooked. It was one of those things where, again, this film isn't really a horror film, but watching it and watching it alone in the dark did have me a bit spooked here and there. I really enjoyed the story being told through multiple people's point of view. I thought that was a unique sort of way of storytelling, and the way it all comes together towards the end I thought was really good and rewarding. Thought it was brilliant. Next up on the list, Predator Badlands. Now hear me out. I know this isn't the original. I know this was made by Disney.
You one ugly motherfucker.
And I know, yes, this should have been R-rated, but it was rated PG-13 in America and 12A over here. I'm quite aware. But this is the first time we actually get a predator as a protagonist in one of these films. It also works as a really cool underdog story. So the general plot is this predator is the weakest in his clan. He's underdeveloped. He's the runt of the group. He is training with his brother. And this isn't really spoilers, by the way. This is more of the sort of opening of the movie. It's revealed that his father had given his brother instructions to basically kill him as he's the weakest in the group, and that his death would bring honor to the clan, as he just didn't want him around and thought it was pretty savage. But instead, his brother trains him, hoping that the father will change their mind and that he'd give him another chance and allow him to go on his first hunt to prove himself worthy to the group. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out that well. Things get a little bit out of hand, and the smaller predator makes an escape to basically the most challenging first hunt he can ever take on. Instead of taking, a nice sort of beginner, warmer up sort of first hunt, this young predator goes for the final boss and goes for prey that no other predator has taken on before. And it kind of gets you sort of rooting for him. You kind of think, yeah, how are you going to do it? But yeah, go for it. Anyways, I'll try not to dive too deep into spoilers here, as I would highly recommend you watching this film and finding out for yourself. If you have seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. But what I really enjoyed about this film was the idea of this predator basically, again, being the runt of the group. It's a great underdog story of him traversing through this dangerous planet, slowly grinding his way up and, honing his skills, and basically doing this all without the gear and tech that most predators rely on. We've seen this numerous times through different predator films where a lot of them will just rely on their technology to take out the easy prey. And then when they find a worthy opponent, that's kind of when they go more hand to hand sort of combat style. It was great to see this predator slowly working his way through the different creatures and environment, learning more about other life out there, and then using that to his advantage, which by the end of the movie, we get a completely different predator. It really reminded me of the Hunger Games, not because it's 12A and that the violence and the gore is massively toned down, but the idea of going to this remote place, this different sort of area, and that everything's a threat. The other aliens, the environment, even the trees are dangerous in this film. This film also serves as a really good revenge story, because once we get to the end of the movie, we finally see him taking on his final conflict, and it's very personal. And the ending, I thought, was so rewarding once you get through the entire film. But like I mentioned before, it's not perfect. You can tell Disney made this movie. There's quite a few jokes and scenes here and there which I personally probably would have cut out or toned down. A few bits of light-hearted humour where this really serves as more of a dark sort of personal story in my point of view. However, it is an excellent start to hopefully a new series of movies, and it'd be really cool to see the sequel perhaps get that rated R rating, and in the UK either rated 15 or 18. So next up on the list we have The Naked Gun.
Who are you?
Frank Drebin Jr., Police Squad.
This is a classic popcorn flick. It's one of those movies where you don't need to really buy into the story. It's light-hearted humour, it's goofy as fuck, and it doesn't take itself seriously. Liam Neeson's dry delivery in all his lines is one of the things that I loved about this film. The way how he's so deadpan serious, and the whole movie is really goofy, really sort of over the top, silly humour. It's very parody-like Scary Movie. It fits the parody genre really well. It's a movie where you can sit down, have a laugh, don't have to take it too seriously. Plenty of really funny moments throughout this film, and I hope that this trend of parody movies continues. But yeah, if you're looking for a well-written, serious plot, this is definitely not for you. And last up on the list is, of course, Sinners. I had to put this in the list. It is that good, but also, yeah, if I didn't, then you guys would be doubting my taste of films, and we can't have that. So, Sinners, one of the best reviewed films of this year, and I can back that. This film was fantastic. Michael B. Jordan is playing two roles, and he's exceptional in both of them. Really good storytelling, solid performances from all the cast. I really enjoyed on how they handled vampires and how they kind of stuck to that lore, but kept things in an interesting sort of serious way. The soundtracks for this film was also really good. Easily one of my favourite vampire films. Sorry, Blade. What I enjoyed was, despite this basically is a vampire movie, is that the first half really isn't. Again, I went into this film not knowing anything about it, and then when the vampire stuff started happening, that had me pretty gripped into the storyline. I've got not many complaints about this one, would highly recommend it. So yeah, that was my top 5 films from 2025. Please let me know what your top 5 were in the comments below. Do you agree with any of my decisions? Do you think I'm talking absolute nonsense and you're unsubscribing? Or better yet, subscribe and we'll see what more we've got coming to the channel.